Good morning, guys. Welcome to day 4. We are on Unit 4, Week 2. We've started working on our research on our job that we are going to be diving into this unit and becoming an expert on. I hope that you guys have already listened to the read aloud before you went into this video so that you'll be able to follow along with the activities that we're going to talk about. So the first thing I want to discuss is author's purpose. We've learned a lot about author's purpose, especially in our first unit. So oftentimes we talk about the author's purpose using the acronym PI. So to persuade, inform, or entertain. All right. But there's a little bit more to that, not only just to persuade, inform, or entertain. That's kind of being really simplistic. The author wants you, they write in a way that they want you to maybe think, feel, or do something about what they're writing. Okay, so maybe to invoke or inspire you to do something. And the reading that we did the past 2 days, I feel like the author is really trying to inspire us to do something about what's going on with not all the firefighters being paid. So let's think about that read aloud real quick. We're going to talk about it a little bit. So the first thing is what is the topic of that read aloud? Well, that's pretty easy. The topic of that read aloud was about how not all firefighters are being paid, but they should. So that was the topic. And why do you think the author wrote on this topic? I think the author wrote on this topic because they're trying to show that it's not fair, to show that there are men and women out there who are working for free and working long hours and putting themselves on, in danger, and they're not being paid. And that kind of seems like it wouldn't be very fair to them. So who is the intended audience? I think the intended audience would be people like myself, or maybe people who are in charge in the city that can maybe pass laws or, work on budgets to allow for all the firefighters to be paid. When I say myself, I've talked about maybe adults who can do something about it, or maybe write to the mayors or the people who are in charge and maybe try to persuade them into thinking the same thing. So the fourth thing, it says, what does the author want me as the reader to think, feel, learn, or do? I think that the author wants us to do a little bit of all of it. I think the author wants us to think about what these men and women are doing every day and to think about how they're not being paid. And that makes you feel a little bit maybe sad that they're not being compensated, or you feel like it's unfair to them. And it's also teaching us, because maybe I didn't know that 70% of all firefighters are not paid their volunteers. That's a lot of volunteers across the country. So that also taught me something. And it's also kind of persuading or inspiring me to do something about it. And the evidence in this support in the text that supports this thinking is where they give you some good statistics and tell you what all that firefighters do for us on a daily basis and how they have to work other jobs, and oftentimes they have to leave their jobs in order to go to the fire or to go help the injured or be there in an emergency. So down there, we kind of did a little bit of this yesterday. It says state the author's purpose in one sentence. So I would say Sarah and Tracy, they are the authors of this particular article. Sarah and Tracy's purpose for writing this opinion piece was to convince, I think, people living in the community to believe that all firefighters needed to be paid. So I feel like that was the author's purpose, and I just stated it into one sentence. So think about the book that you've been focused on this week and see if you can come up with what the author's purpose is and who you think the audience is for the book that you read. And see if you can maybe state this in one sentence to your home learning coach. Now we're going to shift our focus a little bit to our writing today, okay? So now that each of us is an expert on research question 1, we know a lot about our topic. We're going to write our own opinion piece, okay? So your piece should be on an aspect of your research. Maybe pick one thing that you really care about or one thing that you're passionate about. You're going to start by deciding what the opinion is, and then you're going to want to write about it. It might be something new or something we've discussed in class. So a little bit of guidance on these opinions. So you're going to need to first state your opinion about your job you're researching. You're going to need to give me at least 2 to 3 reasons why you think that about your job. You're going to need to use the linking language like we always do. So also, because, and, or, inclusion, or in conclusion. Just like always, we need to end with a concluding statement, and then you need to cite your text. I showed you a little bit about citing text yesterday. So I'm going to share with you my example. This is my example. It says, I read about firefighters and I believe all firefighters deserve to be paid. I think this because in the book it said firefighters have to go to a fire every day. Also, it stated that 70% of all firefighters in the USA are volunteers. They have to work other jobs to pay their bills. And when a call comes through, they have to leave their paying job to go put out a fire. What if we didn't have enough firefighters? What would happen in an emergency? This is why I believe all firefighters should be paid. And then I listed the article and the authors and then the pages that you could find it on. So I want you to do something like this for your book, okay? That was something that I felt passionate about because I know that firefighters put their lives in danger for people like myself. And what they do is a very dangerous job. And it's not something that I could do, but I definitely think that they should be compensated for it. Here's the rubric for writing this opinion piece. So this is how your teacher's going to grade your writing. So you're going to get a point for introducing your topic and stating your opinion. So that's where I said, I read about firefighters and I believe all firefighters deserve to be paid. Okay. The second point, you have to give enough reasons or support to do your opinion, to support your opinion. So like I said, 2 to 3 reasons. Okay. The third point is using the linking words or phrases, making sure that you're using and or because and also in your writing. The fourth point is ending with a concluding statement. And then the fifth point is citing your text. Okay. So those are what you're going to be graded on for this writing. So you need to make sure that you do your writing and then you need to look through this rubric and make sure you met all your points. So we know that I did introduce the topic, right? I used and because, so I have linking language in there. It said to also give enough reasons. So I said they have to go to a fire every day. That's 1. I talked about how 70% of all firefighters in the USA are volunteers. That's 2. They have to work other jobs to pay their bills. 3. And when a call comes through, they have to leave their paying job to go put out a fire. So I gave you 4. You only need 2 to 3. So I got that point, right? And then my concluding sentence is where I said, basically, I'm restating, this is why I believe all firefighters should be paid. So that's my conclusion sentence, okay? So that's my 4th point. And then right here is where I cited my text evidence. So that means that I got all my points on my writing. So you need to go through your writing just like I did and make sure that you hit each of these points on it, okay? All right, guys, good luck on your writing today.